Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grow Your Business with a Virtual Assistant Summit. I have Sarah Noked here with me today. So
Hi
excited.
guys.
Sarah is huge. She's big on the online OBMs. She teaches OBMs how to be successful. I want to welcome Sarah. Thank you so much for being a part of my Virtual
Thank you
Assistant
so much
Summit.
for inviting me, Keela.
Thanks. So can you tell everybody about yourself and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a certified online business manager. I got certified back in 2012. And about 4 years ago, I started to scale my OBM business to an agency where I have other OBMs working alongside me with our clients. And I also am one of three certified OBM trainers, which means that I have an opportunity to train people to become certified under the International Association of OBMs, as well as, I'm surrounded by a network of really awesome women, OBMs, VAs. So I couldn't resist being a part of this summit.
No, this is a great summit of everybody that's meshed and put together. It's like so much information put in this summit. So can you tell everybody what is the benefits of hiring a virtual assistant?
Yeah, so I would say, I like to look at it more as like a virtual team because, there are virtual assistants, you might have developers, you might have an OBM. I think that the freedom is what it is for me because my team is also virtual as well. And it's also lower overhead when you have somebody who's not in your office. So, there's the financial benefit, but then there's also the freedom for you, freedom for your team. I know not everybody is I wouldn't call myself a hermit, but I definitely am a homebody. I like to be at home. So, if you like that sort of thing, it's great to have a virtual team of people who have that sort of personality of really being able to jam it, managing themselves. And also you can hire somebody from around the world. You're not limited by your commute or location. So I'm in Israel, and part of my team is in Israel, part of my team is in the States, part of my team is in the Philippines and India, and my clients are all over the world from the States to Australia and everywhere in between.
Wow.
So that's also the benefit of having a virtual team is you can really, you can attract clients from all over the place.
Well, how do you guys handle it? So with you being Israel, how do you handle the time difference working with your clients?
Well, I have an OBM in Eastern time, so she's in Miami, and then we also are really conveniently located to work with clients in Australia. So our team is also very international. So I'm here right now. It's 9:00 at night time. My kids are sleeping, and that's the reality is that even though I am 7 hours ahead of Eastern time, which is like New York time, I'm really actually living those hours. That's the truth. I sleep, but I work, usually until 11 at night. But that, it's fine. I work from 8 until 11, and that's pretty much my, the bulk of my day when I have all my client meetings.
Wow. So when should a business owner decide to start hiring a virtual team?
Wow. Yeah, I think, it's like before you think you need to, is when you should start hiring a virtual team. Like, I can't tell you how many times I talk to clients who, they wait until their hair is on fire and they're getting into launch mode, or they're not sure if financially they can afford to bring on a team member. So they put it off and put it off and put it off. Or another thing I really see very commonly happening is people hiring in reactive mode. So they're hiring people who, should have been on their team, either like they're hiring for the current role or the role that should have been 6 months ago. They're not hiring for the person that they eventually want on their team. So I see that a lot too. So if when should you start hiring? I think pretty much when you start your online business, you should have a virtual assistant at the minimum working alongside you, because the VA is going to help you with the tech. They're going to help you with the learning curve. They're going to help you basically take time off, like give you back more time by essentially taking these tasks off your plate. Like, I can't tell you how many of my clients are really not tech savvy, but they're spending all this time on YouTube trying to like get tutorials on what have you. Hire people before you think you need them. You have to really invest in your business if you want to grow fast. That's, that's just the reality of it. So I think before you think you need one, now, like if you're a business owner and you're listening to the summit, you're here and you are on listening to the summit without a VA, it's time. It's really time to hire a VA. And, as an OBM, so, we come into businesses that are, a minimum doing 10K, or so they're, minimum of doing like 6 figures in total revenue a year at a minimum. And we always work as an OBM. I will work with business owners who already have a VA on their team. So it is really unlikely for an OBM to join somebody's team where there's not somebody who can be an implementer or in the virtual assistant position, because the OBM is really that integrator role. They're the role where we really help manage the parts and pieces of the business. So we're managing the team and the virtual assistants and the developer and maybe, I don't know, SEO person, whoever is on the team, the OBM is managing those people. They're managing the day-to-day. We're managing projects. We're managing launch. We're making sure that the business owner's big picture vision is coming to life. So the business owner always comes with the what. And then as an OBM, we bang out the how. So we're very managerial. And so a lot of the times people sort of jump the gun on hiring an OBM. So sometimes people will come to me and they don't have a VA. And I'm like, that's great, fine and dandy, but I can't work with you unless you have a VA, because then otherwise I default to being the implementer and that big picture manager. And it's impossible to be with a foot, in two different, whatever that expression is.
Right.
Straddling a horse, right? I don't know.
That's funny. So no, it makes sense though, because it's true. It's like, even when I started, it's like, okay, I want to do this, but then I'm spending 2 nights of, on YouTube looking for things when, instead of me looking for stuff on YouTube, trying to figure it out on YouTube, there is somebody out there that knows what to do, knows how to do it. And it's, just pass it off.
Yeah, just pass it on. Hire somebody who's going to do it and do it right. And so that's, it's funny because I oftentimes come across business owners who, they'd rather pay somebody $10 an hour instead of $100 an hour, but that $10 an hour person might take 10 hours to do what that other person is going to take an hour and do it right and do it in a complete sort of finished, ready to go to market kind of thing. So absolutely. Like, I'm all about, I personally have 2 part-time VAs on my own team that help me manage my launches, help manage the certification programs that I run, and also help make sure that my agency is, the client care is getting answered, my team members are okay, the client, doing the things, making sure that my social media is getting out, that my blog is getting posted. So, oh my God, absolutely. Like, it's so important, just so important.
So speaking of hiring, so what should a business owner ask? What should they consider when they, when it's time to hire?
Yeah, I think, what I love, and I love saying this, I say this like in every chance I can get. I sort of feel like a broken record, but, I think one of the exercises we give our clients off the bat to do is I'll be like, keep a piece of paper and a pen next to your desk and start keeping a tab of your recurring tasks that you do on a day-to-day. So, you might be checking social media, you might be, putting up that blog post, you might be answering client care, write all that stuff down over a week or 2 weeks. And then at the end of that period, look at the list and circle all the things that you think need to be done by you, meaning only you can do them in your business. And it's a great exercise because at the end of the day, a lot of my clients realize that, oh, you know what? I really don't need to be the one that's like actually going into WordPress and pressing publish on my blog. I can actually have somebody else do that. And, and then also, oh, I don't really need to maybe do client care. So first off, it's like, get clear on what your recurring tasks are. And then bonus points if you create Loom videos for all of those things that you do. Because as an OBM, like systems runs through my blood. So I am all about standard operating procedures and documenting stuff because, you had asked, what should a business owner do if they're thinking about hiring a team? It's like, get some systems in place. You don't have to have them full on because the reality is that even though a lot of the times, a business owner is like, well, I have systems, but they're not documented. There are systems in your business. They're just here. So If you can document them in a Loom video, or document them. I don't know, like just Loom video and making lists. Then when you do have a team member come on, it's easier for them to hit the ground running because they're aware of SOPs. And I say this also for VAs that are working with clients and want to grow their team too. You know, document and systematize what you're doing so that not everything is dependent, like the business is dependent on the systems and not the actual people running the systems.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody leaves my team, like I have about 100 SOPs just in my business alone. If somebody leaves, you know, it's sad, but I can easily bring somebody in to replace that person. So in addition to, so you asked for one thing, but I'm going to give you one more thing. For the love of God, have a project management tool. I love Teamwork PM. I will scream it from the rooftops whenever I can. Teamwork PM is the greatest project management tool. And just, you know, that list of recurring tasks, you know, get it into a project management tool and think about how often those things recur. And then bring on VAs and other team members to take off those tasks that you don't need to do as the business owner.
And it's true. I think that's a good one because a lot of times you don't know. A lot of people are like, oh, I need a VA, but I don't know what my VA could do for me.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't.
I think to myself, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, here, let me extract that. Let me extract all the tasks that you're doing. And that's why it's a great exercise, because people are like, oh, you know, I really didn't realize that I was doing 800 things every day.
Mm-hmm. You don't, because you're in the motions of it and you're just going. So if you're just going, you don't realize, okay, well, I didn't, like you said, I don't need to be on Facebook.
Yeah, totally. It's the same thing with the hiring and reactive mode. Like, you know, they're hiring for the person that they needed, not the person that they want to eventually have on their team. So it's like, think about, you know, that's why when you're hiring, you have to be really clear on what your goals are and your vision is for your business. So if I'm somebody that, you know, we had discussed Akila before we got on this, you know, talking about people who are, you know, business owners who are running summits, you know, so if you're running a summit, you want to think about that person that's eventually going to come and like manage the summit, you know, who's going to be managing the summit and totally taking that off of your hands. So when you hire somebody, you're maybe not looking for a general admin person. You're looking for somebody who has that big picture vision that is going to, you know, stand alongside you and help you take your summit to the end, you know, and help you. Because, you know, I bet you would have loved to have somebody like that.
Yes, I would have.
I mean, you're like that, obviously, but you know, it is what it is. Like, you know, there's only so many hours in a day, quite honestly.
That's true. So, because some people, they do have multiple things. Like some people that they only need one person for WordPress. Some people just only need one VA. So how does a business owner handle more than one virtual assistant?
They hire an OBM, and the OBM manages all the virtual assistants.
Interesting.
I had to, you know, it's, you know, so this is a great question. I was being silly, but this is a really great question because, you know, that's why I say project management tool. Like everything needs to be in the project management tool. So if there's not somebody that's managing the big picture and managing the day-to-day or managing the team, then the business owner is essentially playing the OBM role, the online business manager role. They have to have a project management tool because otherwise, my God, you're not going to be able to manage multiple team members. It's going to be a complete hot mess. So when everything, you know, when you're properly lay out a project and you get everybody's in the project management tool, everybody's locked into their place. Also, for example, if I'm helping to manage a launch with a client and it's, you know, we're launching one of their products, I will have a team meeting with everybody so that making sure that everybody is aware of the timeline for the particular project. So for example, with the summit, if I had multiple people on a summit, which I'm sure, you know, you do, you have a developer, you have a VA, all that sorts, you know, before you even hit the ground running, you know, everybody's on the same page about the timeline, the tasks that they need to do, everything's in the project management tool. And one of the things that I always look for when I'm hiring is people who are accountable. And I have a whole system that I use. And part of that system is making sure that there is a way of testing people in terms of accountability. And I do that through test projects before I actually bring on. So I always like to say, hire slow, fire fast, you know? So really take the time to see, you know, is this somebody that is, you know, aligned with my vision? Is this somebody who is going to help me take my business to the next level? Because it's really all about scaling, and it's all about freeing up the business owner so that they have more time to focus on the things that only they can do in their business, like whether it be coaching or sales calls or showing up for joint venture things or podcast opportunities. You know, you can't get a VA to do those kinds of things, but you
Right.
can surely get them to do every kind of operational thing in your business otherwise.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So when somebody hires that OBM, that business owner is here, so they only have to deal with the OBM. They don't have to deal with everybody else. That
That,
OBM.
yeah, that's, I mean, in a very like rose glowed like situation, yes, the
Mm-hmm.
OBM is the buffer between the business owner and the rest of the team. But I will be honest with you, because of in the last, I would say 3 years, I mean, I've been in this industry for almost 10 years, and in the last 2 or 3 years I've seen a significant change in the market of businesses. They're more complicated. Online businesses are also making more bank. So there's more team members, there's more need for people who are specialized, like you were saying, you know, having different team members for specializing in different things, like, you know, whether it be ClickFunnels or Active Campaign or specific software that you're using, you know, you want to get the right people who are going to do the right things. So yeah, I think absolutely you need to really look at how all of those team members can be managed. And a lot of the times, like we were working with a business owner who was doing, you know, 7 figures plus, and she had 4 OBMs on her team managing,
Wow.
like, it was, I mean, it's a 7-figure business. So, you know, a client who's doing low 6 figures, yeah, you know, an OBM is a great buffer for the VA and the developer and maybe a social media person. But when you're talking about some of these businesses, I'm telling you, like, I've seen the back ends of some businesses that it just would knocks my socks off, because it's like there are just so many moving parts, and the business owner is not in a position anymore where they can be, first of all, they usually suck at project management. They're great at what they do, but they're not great at project management. So, you know, from that point, then you have this OBM team of, you know, the OBM that specializes in marketing, the OBM that specializes in client care, the OBM that specializes in day-to-day operations, the OBM that specializes in automations or Facebook ads. So we always have this little thing, you know, for me, it's systems. I'm like big on systems, and automation and digital marketing is my love, but I wouldn't say that, you know, I'm more of a systems person. And then, like, you know, together we manage the team, and it can be like contractors that are coming in and out. You know, it's not necessarily that they're on the team forever. You know, it might be, we might need somebody that can code something specific, like a survey, and then they're out, or they come in for a specific Facebook project, and then they're out. So it's like managing a lot of different contractors coming out in a virtual sense, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. So, I mean, I've seen so many different types of businesses over the years, and the role of the OBM is evolving, and there's more of an, you know, just like VAs will never go out of style. Like, right. I can say that wholeheartedly. The role of the OBM is becoming more in need, because there are just so many different aspects to an online business that need to be accounted for. And businesses are making tons of revenue, you know, and profit.
I think the businesses online are getting bigger.
Yes, they're getting bigger.
Before they were just little small businesses, but now everything is going online. Everything is moving to online. So these businesses are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And also people are getting more crafty with how things can get done. Like even with, so next week I'm going to Funnel Hackers.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Brunson's event.
That's my goal for next year.
Right?
That's my next year goal.
Up when you're there. So that's what I said last year. I was like, okay, next year I went to traffic and conversions last year. And I'm like, next year I'm going to Funnel Hackers. You know, am I a sales funnel specialist? No, but I definitely need to know, to stay, you know, cutting edge for my clients. I need to know the ins and outs of sales funnels so that I can manage the sales funnel team or a sales funnel build out as the OBM. And I think it's so exciting because like it almost like, you know, it gets me so excited because there's all these like conferences that we can attend and all this knowledge that we can like soak up. And it's just changing like crazy. Like people always ask me, well, you know, if I like VAs, I hear this a lot from them. Like, do I need to be a Facebook ad specialist? You know, do I need to run my clients' Facebook ads? And I'm like, you know, if that's something you want to do, then do just that. Because that itself is like a whole full-time thing to stay cutting edge and ahead of the game with Facebook ads. You know, I would never be a Facebook, I would never sell Facebook services, ad services, because that would be like all I would do is like, you know, stay on top of that. So it's just cool how it's evolving.
Yeah, it's like it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And you have to like kind of stay on top of it.
Yeah, totally.
So speaking of hiring, for a business owner for their very first time hiring a virtual assistant, what's a good practice for them to know that they hired that right one?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think, so I'm really big on personality. Like I'm big on personality with my team, but also with my clients. Like people are always like, well, as an OBM, what's your niche? And I always joke, I'm like, ha ha ha, I niche on personality. But it's true because I can be, you know, as an entrepreneur myself, I can align myself with a lot of different businesses. But as an OBM, I need to partner with my client. And if we're, you know, not clicking on a personal level, then, you know, that's not going to really fly. So I would say, you know, I would like to, so how do I dig deep in an interview scenario? I'll ask people really off the cusp questions like, you know, like what was the last book you read, or what's your favorite movie, or what did you do on the weekend? And they're like, oh, you know, and either they'll spark up and be like, oh, you know, well, I have this dog and I love to go to this park, you know, on the weekend. And, you know, then we go to this great restaurant and I meet up with my friends and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, this person's really positive and they're, you know, that really jives with me. Whereas like, if I ask somebody like, well, what do you like to, you know, what's your favorite food to eat or whatever? And they're like, I don't know, or something. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's not going to fly. Like, so we have in my business, we have a chat. Like we use Teamwork Chat. We still call it Slack, but I migrated from Slack to Teamwork because I use Teamwork PM. I was like, well, I might as well use Teamwork Chat because then I can easily send things from chat to task. And we have like a culture of gifts in our business. So whenever something good happens, whenever something bad happens, like a team member will always throw up a GIF in our, call it our wine cooler channel. And I think that it's so important to have even though we're virtual, you know, the personality is important because that's sort of like the only thing that really ties you, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. I just, you know, I think it's really hard to say, but I think if I like to go, and this is what we teach in the OBM certification, but like the 3 strikes and you're out rule. Like if a team member makes the same mistake 3 times about the same thing. So let's say, you know, they're not publishing the blog post properly and
late on assignments.
If they keep doing that, then I would say, okay, you know, maybe it's not a good fit. But again, you know, attention to detail is really something I'm big on. And it's part of that test project I give people. If there are things that I have them do that, you know, sort of identify, okay, does this person have a high attention to detail? Like even from, I ask them to submit that, to do specific things with Google Drive and to submit their application with a specific subject line to me. And like those show me if they're going to have attention to detail or not. Because I think that's big no matter what. Are they a good communicator? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've seen it or I've heard, you know, they'll ask for a specific subject line and a lot of people submit applications without that subject line.
Yeah, exactly. And
then that tells you right there.
I'm like, hey, I don't even need to look at you, you know, because like, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then I think having that connection with that personality is perfect. Because if you're taking somebody on with your business, you want somebody that could talk to, who has that same weird sense of humor as you. So if you guys connect, then it's like, oh, we're perfect.
Like, it's like, can I go for drinks with this person? Would we have a good time? All right, you're hired.
I'll ask you about your skill sets later.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just assume. Well, you know, and that's the thing in this industry. Like, you know, I hear from VAs and OBMs, like people are so freaked out by the technology of not knowing everything. And I'm just like, you got to get over that because right now, I'm sure that Facebook ads just updated itself and there's a new algorithm and whatever, and it's just like, you can't keep up. So you have to just roll with the punches and, you know, stay on and, you know, have a niche, focus on what you need to focus on and have the right people, you know, in your back pocket when you need something. You know, we're big Entreport users. I mean, I love setting up campaigns and I know it in and out. But there are times when I reach out to a consultant and I'm like, hey, I just can't figure this out. Can you help me?
Right.
Rather than
Because
spending
somebody
5 hours.
always knows more than you. Somebody will always know more than you. And
Oh
if you
yeah,
guys could connect and make it work, then it's just perfect.
it is. Totally.
It really is. So what do you think is like for key for business? What do you think is good for a successful relationship between a business owner and a virtual assistant?
Well, bonuses, obviously. I think it's like, one of our core values on my team is flexibility. Like I'm a mom of 3. My schedule is very, like I told you, it's 9 o'clock right now. So like, if you look at my schedule, I work a little bit in the morning, I pick my kids up, I spend the bulk of the afternoon with my kids, put them to sleep, and then I'm on again. Rafi on my team, he's a dad. He's also certified OBM and he's a dad. And, Galia, she's also certified OBM. She's got fur babies, who need like tender love and care. So I think that you have to really recognize like that people who work virtually, like we do it for a reason, I mean, I'm not just a hermit. I'm also, although I do like being at home, and I like to work in my pajamas. Like, I mean, I won't stand up for you, but I'm like business up top, party down below. It's that there's a reason why your virtual assistant works from home. And I think you have to get to the bottom of that and understand and sort of embrace that as your company culture. Ours is a flexibility, and my team allows me as a business owner to be flexible. And in turn, I also allow them to be really flexible and, you use their time wisely, right? You're responsible for managing your time, and I will allow for a flexible schedule for you. But I also expect them to be flexible for me. Like if we have a client call at 8 p.m. And it's important, they know that they're going to be on for that, because they'll just work their schedule out so that we can be flexible for the clients as well.
Right. And then that's good, because I think as long as the business owner knows what's going on with that virtual assistant, I think they will be a good fit.
Totally.
Like they understand. Like for me, I still have my day job. So my clients, I let them know in the mornings I'm at work, but in the evenings, because I'm a
all
late
yours.
person, I work.
Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, I could work till 2 o'clock in the morning. My husband drives my husband crazy, but I'm such a night owl. And this is really when I feel the most creative, and I can actually, even though sometimes I can't get a word out, I feel the most creative in the evenings, and I get the most work done too.
Yeah, I can't function in the morning.
I don't function in the mornings either until I won't open my computer. Like everyone's like, oh, I check social media in bed and I'm checking my emails. I'm like, I need to have 2 coffees, strong coffees. And then I can and then I will like start to slowly function. But I say 10:30 in the morning is really when I start my day,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not working out. I'm just moving very slowly and drinking coffee,
You get one thing done, you're fine.
Exactly.
That's funny. So after a business owner hires a VA and they feel like they're not that good fit, they just didn't jive together, what's the best way for them that business owner to handle it?
I think one of the things I've learned over the years I've managed my own virtual team, and I've managed, I think hundreds of virtual teams at this point. As a proactive measure, you really do have to tell people when they're not doing a good job. So I can't tell you how many times I've done it myself. I've been also doing this, and I've surely talked to other business owners like this as well. But you're always reinforcing the positive behavior and being like, oh, you did a great job. But when they screw something up, you're like, oh, I don't want to tell them. I don't want to hurt their feelings. So it's going to help you, and it's also going to help that person in the long run when you're honest. If someone's not doing something how you want it to be done, talk to them. There's usually a reason. Like here's an example. So as an OBM, I usually a business owner will hire me because their virtual team is out of control, and the VA doesn't know what she's doing, and this blah 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 is doing this, and blah 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 is doing that, and we get into the team, and it's like, what later comes out, because we have a whole method of how we go through the team owner, and then we interview all the team members. And what usually comes about is that yeah, the business owner is a little bit overwhelmed and scatterbrained, but the team really doesn't know what they're supposed to do because there's no project management tool, there's no recurring tasks. They're just waiting for the business owner to like spew things onto them, and there's no real clear accountability or management of anything. And in addition to that, there's usually no standard operating procedures. So there's no documented SOPs. So, how do you expect somebody to do what you want them to do if there's no clear way for them to do it? Like, so SOPs are great because they help a business owner scale in a way that is sustainable, in a way that everybody understands what they need to do, and in a way where it's like the business owner wants it done a certain way, and then the team owner the team member can actually carry it out. So that's why systems are so important. So usually underneath it, there is a real issue, and it's usually that there's no systems, but you also have to be really vocal with a team member when they're not doing a good job. So have a review after a month or 3 months after hiring, and then a review every year, and so on and so forth, and get feedback and really understand and speak to your team members and give them feedback on what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Like if I have a VA that, isn't communicating to me properly, I'll be like, hey, I do the sandwich message. So it's like positive, the positive buns, and then the meat in the middle is like the negative piece. So I'm like, hey, I really enjoy having you on the team, but is there a reason why your communication is like so shoddy these days? Like what's going on with you? And I really need you to be on Slack, at least at these specific hours of the day, and and we really love having you on the team. So it's like that positivity sandwich.
At the very end.
You have to like tell people when they're not doing things right. Cause then all of a sudden you get to like point where you're like, oh no, I really need to get rid of this team member because they're not aligned with my vision. And they're, it's just not working out. But like you've been giving them all this like positive feedback the whole time. So they're not expecting it. And then you're like, oh, well, now I can't tell them because I've been honest with them and really they're not doing a great job, but I keep giving them this positive reinforcement. Also too, I just want to say this as well, but I find that when team members are not doing the right thing, it's usually because they're not clear about what the vision is of the business owner. So when a business owner isn't clear about their vision and goals, and really clear and convey it like verbally to the team members will make choices based on what they feel is best for themselves, because they're not aware of the vision of the team owner, of the business owner. So I think it's just, as a business owner too, we talked about having SOPs and getting clear about your recurring tasks, but also being really clear about your vision and goals. Right. And conveying it to the team in addition to, so that they know exactly what is required of them to carry out the vision of the business.
And I think that should be set at the very beginning.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. As part of the onboarding, here's the vision. This is what we stand for. Here are the goals. Like as an OBM, for the first 3 months when I work with a client, the kickoff first 3 months is about setting up the action plan. And what we dive deep into in that first strategy call with a client is their goals and their vision. Like I won't work with a client who's not clear on their goals and vision. A client is not going to get to 7 figures or high 6 figures of revenue if they're not clear on their vision and goals. Like it's just not going to happen.
True.
So, you can't the team is not going to back you up if they don't know what's going on. So I think that's so important as, business owners is just really spend time, getting that down in writing, even if it's just like stream of consciousness, like whatever it is, like get clear about it. And then try to avoid the bright, shiny object syndrome.
I had that issue.
Right. We all have that issue. But you might as a business owner also need to have the goals next to you. So you're like, well, should I move from Entreport to ClickFunnels? And then you're like, oh no, my goal is to make 7 figures and be more and more podcasts. So why am I worrying about, so you know what I mean?
Right. And then it seems like what I'm learning is that everybody comes from that corporate business world, but then when we transition over to the virtual world, it's like we forget things. So it's like, if you're a supervisor in the corporate world, would you let these things fly?
Right.
And the answer is no, you wouldn't let these things fly if you're having issues with somebody. So it's like, just transfer that on into the virtual world. It works the same way.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I think sometimes people will hide behind the corporate, you know. I think a lot of us, I mean, I know I left my corporate job, like I was in business development and you know, I just finished my MBA and I was all fresh with my pantyhose and high heels and you know, the reality is that I was like, oh, there was no accountability and I was like I felt like I was being micromanaged and I was like so against the grain of who I am. So yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us come, but also too, a lot of us come with baggage from corporate or that employee mindset of the, instead of saying to the client, you know, you ask to the client, how can I help you? And this is a tip for the VAs listening, but you know, instead of saying to a client, how can I help you? It's like, here's how I'm going to help you. So it's really shifting from that, the mindset from the employee mindset to more of that leader mindset.
Right.
And that's also what I look for in a team member. So if I'm hiring somebody, especially OBMs, and you know, I hire certified OBMs and I hire VAs, if somebody gets on a call with me and they're like, oh, I love you, I love your business, and I'm so excited to be part of this agency and I just want to help you. Tell me how I can help you. Tell me how I can help you. Like, red flag, you know, because I'm looking for people that are like, I love your business. I read your blogs. I think that, you know, if we have a series of this, you know, it's really going to get, you know, like I need people who are going to, you know, put on their big girl pants and give me what, you know, give me what it is that we're going to be doing, not waiting around for me to like suggest things too.
It's like take that initiative.
Yes.
I think
Be
that's what
proactive
it
with your
is.
clients.
I think it is. So it's almost like if you jump on a call with somebody, they should have done their research about you.
Oh, of course. Yeah. If someone
So
didn't
it's
do
like
their
when
due,
that
just like I
business.
do my due diligence before get on a client call, you know, I'm
Mhm.
definitely not gonna, you know, get on a call with a client before I've like, you know, stalked them on LinkedIn and, you know, opted in for their list and maybe peruse their website for, you know, errors that I can like, you know, get brownie points for. Like that's definitely part of our onboarding system, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
I think for those business owners that are out there and like thinking about hiring is that when you do jump on that, you know, that Zoom call with that, you know, potential VA,
Yeah.
it's like if they start talking to you like they've done research, that means, you know what, that could be a good fit, that they, you know, they're taking that action, that lead.
And they're enthusiastic. You know, you can't teach that. You know,
Mm-mm.
I've trained OBMs. I've got two OBM employees on my team and a few contractors, but the ones that are employees, I took from the corporate world and I trained them from being totally green to the digital world. And, you know, it's so true. Like, if people are like, enthusiasm can go such a long way, you know what I mean, when it comes to, you know, people's willingness to learn new things and to think outside the box, because that's really what this virtual world is. You know, you really have to think differently about and take business owners and turn them on top of business owners. That was a Freudian slip. Take a business model and flip it upside down. Take the business owner and flip them upside down. I swear I didn't drink before this call.
That is too funny. But
Mhm.
no, it's just great information that, you know, a lot of business owners just they also have to think outside the box. But then a question
Yes.
for you. So you've been doing this for 10 years.
Almost,
When
yeah.
did you almost 10 years, when did you know it was time for you to hire your first VA? And how did you go about that?
Oh my God. So
And it wasn't
I
Facebook to
made a
look
big
for a
mistake.
VA.
Talk about, and I say talking about hiring, like hire before you need somebody. Like speaking from experience. So when I was pregnant, okay, so as like I started my business from behind my corporate desk and I was like, I just need to get pregnant and I need to get my business going and then I'll be peachy keen. And so when I was in corporate and I was, you know, then I was side hustling as a tech VA and I was really doing more OBM work for clients. But I knew then that if I didn't systematize my business and bring on a VA, that my business would just dissipate when I went on my mat leave. Because like, you know, who was going to manage my clients? Yes, I still had some money from my mat leave from my corporate job. And I took that money and I was like, I'm going to have to invest this in hiring a VA who can help me systematize my business, meaning everything that I was doing for my clients, we started creating SOPs for so that I could delegate it to team members. And it was a reactionary thing because I was like, I'm pregnant and I'm physically not going to be able, like I was my first child. I mean, now I'm 3 kids in, but you know, then it was my first one. And I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like. What if I have a terrible pregnancy and, you know, you never know what's going to go on. So I just think that, like it was the mat leave that forced me to, like, I always wanted to have a big team. Like I always had these dreams and aspirations of having an agency, but it took getting pregnant to really kick me into high gear with hiring. So I hired somebody to help me systematize my business. And she was not a VA. She was totally green. She was a student. She was really tech savvy because she was a millennial. and we took it from there. And, the rest is history. And I mean, I've had my fair share of, I wouldn't say hundreds of team members, but, quite a few, and with all my clients as well, because I'm managing their teams too. I always say, hire before you need somebody, like really. And that sounds like crazy, but, even if you don't have the money or the funds, like, it might mean that you need to, save up a few months for it, or put some money aside, or take money out of your savings. That's what you're going to need to scale and grow your business so that it's more sustainable.
Yes.
Right.
Because like they said, that VA could come in and help you with Facebook, answering customer service, sending out emails, or just doing stuff that honestly you don't know how to do.
Yeah.
And then while they're doing that, you're focusing on your business, which is maybe coaching or teaching or doing something else.
Exactly. Things that nobody else can do in your business. It's so true. So,
it's like an
that
investment.
Yeah, it is an investment. It is an investment. And I always say that, especially when I hire my OBMs that are really green, like I hire them and I train them. I run them through my certification program. For 3 to 6 months, I'm not going to see any ROI from that team member. It's going to be a complete expense for my business. But then it's amazing because then they can start working with clients, and the sky is the limit almost, and it's great, but it is an investment. Nothing ever good came easy. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah, it is. That's so true.
Yeah.
So in conclusion for everybody, nobody should be on the fence anymore if you don't have a VA.
Yeah, seriously.
What would you tell everybody in conclusion about, the best, I think we basically talked to everybody about everything, but about hiring a virtual team?
Yeah, I just think that you need to, like, nobody likes interviewing and hiring. Like, I've never met a person that's like, I love, bringing on team members and it's so comfortable and like easy. Like, it's just not easy. So I think if you can, afford to hire somebody to help you hire team members, like a lot of the times, we have clients reach out to us that are, I lovingly call them successful despite themselves. So, every once in a while I get this 10 or 20K a month revenue client hit me up, and they're still operating as a solopreneur. And I'm like, don't you want to have a holiday? Like, don't you want to like leave your laptop at home, or, sleep one night without like checking recurring tasks off in your dreams? So, if there might be an opportunity to hire an OBM to help you build that team, to help you hire on that VA, so that's what we'll do with our clients. But I just think that, you got to step out of your comfort zone. And like we were saying before, like you got to do something every day that scares you, and hiring team members might be one of them. And listen, I didn't get to where I am, with all the team members I started with. Sometimes it's going to work out and sometimes it's not. So know also when to walk away, and hire somebody new, and don't give up. Because, look at all these crazy, huge businesses operating in the online space. I also know that I'm not good at everything. Like so I hired systems. The second person I hired was a writer. Because like, even though I'm a humanities undergrad and I've written my fair share of essays, and I did my MBA and stuff like that, I'm just like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I have somebody that helps me write my blog. I give them a brain dump and then they write it for me. And I'm just like, well, that person spends an hour and they love writing, or I spend 3 hours and I'm like pulling out my hair, So exactly. Recognize what you're really good at, what your genius zone is versus, something that you're not so great at, or like you can do, but you don't really like it. Not really like, you're not feeling it.
Right.
That wasn't one thing, but that would be my conclusion.
That's not a problem. It's not a problem. Everybody needs to hear it. We really do. That's so true. So I want to thank you so much, Sarah, for being a part of my summit. I hope everybody out there, you learned so much about how to grow your team. By the end of this summit, you guys should be running out looking for a virtual assistant, honestly, because you know what, you can't do this alone. You can't do it by yourself. So thank you so much. And thank you guys again for watching, and stay tuned for more interviews with Grow Your Business with the Virtual Assistant Summit. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.